What it is, thank you for joining the File Player. As always, whatever the fuck, I just said it backwards, but you're in the File Player then. I wanted to make this video regarding where Deontay Wilder stands as of now, in comparison to his foes, if you will. And I say foes as in Tyson Fury, somebody who ducked him and who people contended the notion that Fury had beat Wilder in their matchup. Anthony Joshua, who him and his camp had a lot to say, devaluing Wilder's worth and trying to present another one of Wilder's foes in Dillian Whyte as a buffer between Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. Dillian Whyte made it seem as if Wilder was avoiding him and got to eat off of Wilder's name for a couple years now, all while avoiding his mandatory in Ortiz and avoiding the standard that Wilder...
Watch out, vehicle stopped on shoulder ahead.
My bad, bro. Let me turn off my fucking GPS. But all while avoiding the standard that Wilder had presented him in Luis Ortiz to get a match with him, and himself being Wilder. But yeah, Wilder's potential foes who I just listed. That's the short list, I guess. You could throw in Eddie Hearn into the fray as well, like as part of the people that had the most to say about Wilder. Well, all these people in a span of 6 months have fallen by the wayside. Any collateral that they add in 6 months ago is all but fucking extinguished. You look at Tyson Fury. He dodged the fight with Wilder, an immediate rematch, and ended up fighting a Tom Schwartz. I guess it had a little bit of man-made or synthetic fanfare for a day, with the theatrics of him walking out with the Apollo Creed outfit, and ESPN was putting a lot of money into trying to pump up his allure by giving him a lot of coverage in the days leading up to the fight with Tom Schwartz, and it still sold 9,000 tickets in Vegas. Or I think it was only attended by 9,000 people in Vegas. So he couldn't even give tickets away for that fight. I mean, people chose to see David Copperfield rather than going to the Tyson Fury match, or go to see Celine Dion, rather than going to see Tyson Fury fight Tom Schwartz. And then now you're hearing the news from Blue Blood Sports TV, and I hope you subscribe to that channel, that the potential matchup between Charles Martin and Tyson Fury next in October, I believe he mentioned. I know they were trying to get a matchup with Big Baby Miller, who I forgot to add to my short list as well, but I'll get to Big Baby Miller in a second too. But I guess Big Baby Miller won't be able to make the cut, like, due to his suspension. And they're gonna fight Charles Martin. I mean, Charles Martin is maybe not even a top 20 heavyweight. He got beat by Kaunaki. He got beat by Anthony Joshua. His last win was against Corbin, I believe. But most people would agree to the fact that Martin ain't shit. Then moving on to Big Baby Miller, who I forgot to mention in my list. Big Baby Miller had a whole bunch of shit to say about Wilder. All while saying that he wouldn't fight Wilder, or like making excuses as to why he wouldn't fight Wilder, even though Wilder was a champion and Dillian and Big Baby Miller was, for all intents and purposes, a nobody who was just being hyped up by Eddie Hearn as a potential opponent for Anthony Joshua, until we all know he pissed for a banned substance, and he failed 3 tests, I believe, and he's banned in the short future. But he was saying that if he beat Anthony Joshua when they were lined up to fight each other, that he wouldn't try to unify with Wilder because Wilder was quote unquote disrespectful, and I forgot what else. I guess he was alluding to the fact that Wilder said he knocked his ass out in sparring, which, I mean, he sort of admitted that was true. He just gave excuses that it was too hot in the Alabama heat, and he got fucking his ass rung because of that. But you still got your ass rung. I mean, like, he's not lying. But a few short weeks later, he comes up pissing hot, and now Miller's on the outside, way on the outside, looking in. He's looking in through a peephole at this, or a keyhole at this point. Then you got Anthony Joshua. We all know he got his ass rung against Anthony against Andy Ruiz on June 1st, I believe. Lost all of his belts. Right now they're gasping at straws, trying to get a fight located in the UK, and it was a hard thing to push for before, being that Andy Ruiz is holding all 3 belts, to have Matchroom and Anthony Joshua choose the location of that fight. But it's going to be even harder now with what happened with Matchroom this past weekend, and I'll get to that in a minute. But right now, Anthony Joshua is getting pulled in different directions as to what he wants his next move to be, as to where he wants to fight next, like as far as locations go. And it seems like what we were all saying in the LDBC is true, in that Eddie Hearn is the one who's engineering or captaining his Anthony Joshua's career. It's coming to light more and more now, and the whole facade of like Anthony Joshua being this force, like whether it be through negotiations or whether it be that he's this superior boxer in comparison to Wilder. I mean, he just got his ass whooped like fucking a couple months ago, so you can't make the case for Anthony Joshua as much anymore when he got rocked. And you have Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte just beat Oscar Rivas, and we find out yesterday that he's pissed hot for a bad substance. Seemingly, Matchroom and the UCAD knew beforehand, before the match was to take place, that Dillian Whyte was a dirty fighter going into the ring. Somehow Matchroom was privy to that information, and so was Dillian Whyte, and Rivas and his camp were left out in the cold. They went into the fight not knowing that Whyte was a dirty fighter. But here you have this doping agency that did have that knowledge, somehow let it be shared with the rival promotion with Eddie Hearn and Matchroom, and didn't care to give that information to the Rivas camp. So going back to what I was just saying, Matchroom would have a really tough time trying to push for a UK fight with Anthony Joshua, being that they didn't act with their opponent's best interest regarding their opponent's safety, sending in a dirty fighter to fight Oscar Rivas. And, that was on the heels of Mad Max tragic death due to injuries he took in a match just the night before the Dillian Whyte Oscar Rivas match. So these people are reckless. They don't care how they come about their victories or how they come about the things that they're trying to accomplish to benefit them, whether that be choosing Anthony Joshua's location. Their Matchroom's always been keen on using the public opinion and Eddie Hearn getting in front of a microphone and trying to sway people's minds to get what they want. And now you could do less and less of that. I mean, so Matchroom as an entity and Eddie Hearn, those people have lost probably half of what their company worth or potential could have been. Their biggest seller was Anthony Joshua by far. I would say that's probably half of their fucking potential just with one fighter. But then, one of their maybe top three after Anthony Joshua potential fighters was Dillian Whyte, solely off the back of the fact that he had a shot at a mandatory at Wilder, and on the eve of him gaining that mandatory status by beating Oscar Rivas, we find out this news of this bad test that he had for performance-enhancing drugs. And all these things I'm saying to say this. I mean, sometimes, the gods do take a role in these things. I'm not saying that Wilder's a holy man, but the motherfucker's a righteous dude, man. He's the only athlete that has spoken for his people to the capacity in which he's spoken. I mean, other athletes, they'll donate a little bit of their time, or they'll get behind a certain cause when it's popular or when it's cool. But that's all within the confines of the league that they're in, and they're usually limited in what they could say and how they could act out. Wilder, he's at the forefront of a lot of these things that affect his people, and that's admirable. And Wilder's a common man, bro. The motherfucker was driving trucks for work, just a couple years ago, and now he's on top of the boxing game, period. I mean, this can't be debated at this point. Wilder is that dude right now, period. There's no question about it. He's at the top of the boxing landscape right now. And if people wanted to contend that any of these fighters, and Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua particularly, were at the top of the game, you can't really try to push that agenda any longer. And that all changed within a span of 6 months. I mean, sometimes, life is funny like that. And, I'm not a religious man, but sometimes the gods, they right the wrongs. And I really couldn't foresee a lot of this stuff happening, believe it or not. And the fact that it's happening in, such rapid speed, and all, kind of, close to each other. I mean, I just subscribe to the notion that there are no coincidences, and though I'm not a God-fearing man, I do believe in the gods, and sometimes they make shit go down, especially when things seem at their worst. And Deontay Wilder's winning right now, man. Can't be debated. He has the best fight coming up in Luis Ortiz rematch, which the first fight was a hellified matchup. Some people were saying that he got helped by the referees. So now he's trying to right that wrong, if you will. And he's going to have a nice fight coming up, which is, you can't say that about any of these other guys, with the exception of Anthony Joshua. But Anthony Joshua is only having a riveting matchup because he got whipped by the fucking guy he's rematching, and that's what's generating the interest for that fight. Dillian Whyte will be on the sidelines for a while. Tyson Fury is going to fight Charles Martin on the heels of fighting Tom Schwartz. Tyson Fury, at this point, you could only say that he's gaining any sort of fanfare on the back of his draw against Deontay Wilder. So that's it, man. The gods have spoken. They've made these things go down, in my mind. And fuck it, I'm enjoying it, man. Like I like seeing, I like crushing my enemies. Fucking I no mercy for any of these fucking factions that brought these fucking really dumb debate, dumb points of contention against Wilder. Wilder's the king of boxing. Period. All right, with that, I'm out. Fucking I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you could, give it a little like and subscribe. Check me out on Michael Johnson Boxing Talk and More, where I usually go live with Michael Johnson, Lowe's Dawkins the P, Lowe's Dawkins the Pimpin', and I hope you subscribe to those channels I just mentioned. With that, I'm out. Oh, and shout out to my boy Alex Santos too, who also goes on our panel at Michael Johnson Boxing Talk and More. So with that, I'm out. Peace. Have a good day.